Hello, fairy finders and fairy seekers. Welcome to FaerieQuest and the Ask the Faeries weekly card reading for June 14th through June 20th of 2021. Now we are going to ask a question this time and actually use the cards that I have used for quite some time and then add some cards as well. So the question that we want to focus on for this week is, as a light worker, what might I experience on the spiritual realm and on the 3D physical realm? Because we are still living in the 3D realm no matter what. In other words, that's where we have to function right now. So keep in mind, this is a general read. So take what you can and just disregard what you can't. Okay, so let's see what the cards have to say. All right, so card number 1 is the South Wind, 4 of Diamonds in its natural position. Card number 2 is Leah, the Queen of Clubs, or 12 of Clubs, in her natural position. And then we have the King of Spades, or Marduk, the Heartless, in the heart position. And then we have the Peddler's Ace, or the 5 of Diamonds, in the earth position. Now we will also pull some cards for the 3D physical realm. And just so you see, this is a deck that I created. This is my spirit guide, Sakina. She's who I have worked with since approximately 2004, though she's been with me for many lifetimes. Okay, so we are going to pull 3 cards for this. These are also playing cards. Okay, let us split the deck. Okay, so card number 1 is the Ace of Clubs. Card number 2 is the 7 of Spades. And card number 3 is the 7 of Clubs. And then one final card that we will be pulling here is a message from the fairies that will be at the tail end of this reading. And we will be able to see the image of the fairy, we just will not be able to see the message. All right, so I'm going to split the deck. Card that is showing is right here, which I will let these little hands hang on to. Okay, so let us see what the fairies are sharing with us for this week. Okay, so this is going to be one of those interesting kind of backwards reads, or in this case, it's a split read. And the reason that I say that, and this setup was not done specifically for that, it just so happened that that's how it worked out. But when you look at these cards in this layout, you can see that we have the diamond and the club both in their natural position, and you have the spade and the diamond that are not in their natural position. And there is a split here. This is an important factor. We also can see that the 12 and the 4 add up to 16, and 6 plus 1 is 7. So this is a divine number. 13 and 5 is 18, and that adds to 9, which is basically the end number of the human experience. So that's also interesting, and we'll read into this reading quite heavily. But we're going to start on this side and work our way over. And what we see here, first and foremost here, is the 5 of diamonds in the position of Earth. And this card is called the Peddler's Ace. Now, we've had this before, and this card is about someone who peddles wares, such as things you might need for your job, things you might need for your health, things you might need just to exist on Earth, okay? And this peddler peddles those things. However, what he peddles is never what it's meant to be, never what it's supposed to be. And the intention is not to offer something really worthwhile. The intention is to do his best to please his master, so to speak, reach his quota so that he can get his next meal. So he's not in any position per se to be honest about anything. He really has no conscience because he can't have a conscience because he wants to survive. So to survive, he has to do what he's told to do. And that would be what Marduk is telling him to do. Now, Marduk is the king of spades. He's the very last card in the deck, actually. And he's termed the Heartless. And I can't seem to get, there it is. He's termed the Heartless. And this is the king who has no compassion. He has absolutely no love for humanity whatsoever. He is an ruling king over the earth. He's friends with snakes more so than he is with humanity. He is also called the Terminator. Now, in the spiritual realm here, with the question that we started with, this is looking like evil. And again, end of humanity, the 9, the 18 that breaks down to 9, end of humanity. He rules the earth currently, and he rules it without heart. Notice there is no heart in this reading whatsoever. He rules it without heart. And he has puppets to do his work for him. So this would include all the things that we are currently going through that, as the card is showing, it's done by those with monetary means, but it is also done by their puppets in such a way that nothing that is offered is truthful. The money that is given to make it appear as though they care and want us to survive is barely enough for most to live on, and that money comes from taxes that we've paid or will pay, because when there's nothing to back up that money, it's just pretty much worthless anyway. But it looks good at the moment. So split here, we come over to the 4 of diamonds. And the 4 of diamonds is the south wind. There it is. South wind card. And it is the wind that tends to cause a great deal of chaos. It blows the garbage cans down the street. It takes any clothes off the line and throws them on the ground. It is a wind that creates chaos. Very, very strong wind that creates chaos. And this chaos, as we know, has been caused by those with money. So pretty much everything is monetary here. Always follow the money. And that's what ends up giving you the truth of things. Now, because Leah is in her natural position, which again, as a club, the Queen of Clubs, she is a witch of sorts. Morgana, which would be Marduk's wife, is the evil witch. She matches him beautifully. And if you remember, Leah's husband is the historian, the student, lifetime student. He spends most of his time researching and getting to the truth and recording and that kind of thing. So Leah has much truth that comes from her husband. And she is kind of like the White Witch. She uses that truth to enlighten, and I will go to here, enlighten humanity. Remember, she's in the human area here. She is all about humanity. Now she's facing these two. And that's important because she's turning her back on the chaos that they have created. And she's pushing the intent for people to see the evil and the lies and manipulation of the peddler's ace. But in the meantime, she is also allowing this south wind to illuminate what is factual, to let people really open their eyes and see what this chaotic wind has created by bringing their attention over to here. Whatever you can wish and dream, that is what Leah is all about. She is the card in this deck that is about waking humanity. So as we've covered many, many times in these readings from the fairies, waking up humanity is very, very important. What these cards are showing, in lieu of the question of, what might light workers experience in the spiritual realm for this week, is what we're seeing divine help here. And we're seeing the true evil and how it's working. We're understanding that what we're being offered here is divine guidance and help from the divine. And what light workers are doing and what humanity is waking up and pushing forward, that's how it's meant to be. That is the divine of it, which is why 7 is the number. Over here, we're seeing 9 as the number of the end of humanity, and that is really what they have wanted all along. So we do have a major division here, but we're getting more power on this side than on this side, despite the fact that the numbers are larger over there. Does not matter. Energy-wise, it's everybody's pushing, but with divine behind humanity and the illumination that is going on and how people are waking, there is much more power on this side, the divine side, than there is on the evil side. Evil is not winning, but it is obvious that as light workers, we need to keep really pushing. There is no time to get tired. As you can see, Leah's up at night. She is doing her astral flying. She is, entering the dreams. She is doing everything that she possibly can to bring forth a reality that we want to have, as well as illuminating the chaotic mess and taking away the fear. Because when you know what you know about the evil, there is no fear anymore, or at least there shouldn't be. So taking away that fear is very, very powerful. And since these two are basically at odds. I mean, spades and diamonds, they're not compatible. Diamonds and clubs, they are compatible. The air that is created by the club card, the air that humans are breathing, love that, is being added to this flame. Together, the action of the diamonds really creates a lot of power to the ideas and thoughts of humanity. It's the action card. It makes whatever is thought happen. That's powerful. Over here, they're not compatible. We're looking at, Marduk in the heart position without any hearts in here at all. That's parched earth. It's cracking. It's being destroyed. Now they keep putting more money into it, but, eventually there isn't going to be any more money and no more lies about surviving on this earth that can possibly be told. Too much is being illuminated, and that chaos is getting old. Spiritually, this spiritual battle that is going on between the two, basically you're being told as a light worker, you're not doing it alone. Thus the 7. And since this one also adds up to the 9, that is telling you what the divine already knows, and what you need to pay attention to is that the whole purpose of all of this is to end humanity. Just like taking away the air that has been going on is like the first and huge part, because that is what keeps us connected as human beings, is air. Just think about that for a little bit. So that's an interesting division and an interesting share from the fairies as to how things are going on the spiritual level, because there is no absolute as to who is winning or not winning. I'm not saying it's equal, but this is the side you want to be on, because this is the side that is gaining ground. This is the side that has source or God or whoever your special being is. That's the powerful one, not this one. The King of Earth is not who you want to be in league with. Now, if we look at the cards for the 3D physical realm, these playing cards, we have the Ace of Clubs, we have the 7 of Spades, and we have the 7 of Clubs. Now, 7s are fate. Things that happen because they happen. I mean, personally, I don't believe in coincidence, but fate can't be changed necessarily. When something is a fate thing, you live through it, you learn from it, and hopefully it comes out well. Okay? So, 3 black cards. This is not a good situation. If they were 3 spades, that would be a really bad situation. Thankfully, we have 2 clubs and only 1 spade. However, what we're looking at here is this Ace of Clubs is kind of a hope card in a way. It's like a new beginning. It's what people are being told is happening at this time. And, it's go ahead, go back to work. No face apparatus needed. It's such a, you've got all these new opportunities, and, the old adage, when one door closes, another opens, that kind of thing. And look, there's air. You can breathe now, because club is an air card. Well, that's what everyone on the 3D Earth is doing at this time. They're believing that things are better because they've followed all the rules. However, there is double trouble. And that double trouble is, going to be a lot of tears. Things that have taken place here. And we have Spade as cracked earth, as you can see, okay? Spade is cracked earth or desert, right? This is double trouble, this card. And, there's a lot of investigations going on right now. And there are also a lot of people who are learning about, wow, I really, really fell for all this. And they're, starting to do their own investigation. And they're learning what the fairies have been sharing with us every week. From the perspective of those who have not been awake, they're starting to hear things. They're starting to hear stories that are absolute opposite from what has been shared previously on the sources that they listen to, that they view. And, not just, it's going to create tears. There's also going to be very sad situations that are going to take place because they did follow the rules, per se. There are some that are suffering fate for whatever reason, and it's a sad state of affairs, but they're learning. And then when you come to the Seven of Clubs, again, it is fate. And some things may, be considered coincidence, how the dice were rolled, so to speak. And, there's a lot of people who are just burying themselves in their work because they don't know what else to do. They know that the situation in 3D Earth is not as they've been told it is. And they are, considering this, trying to figure out how to deal with an earthly problem. And right now, no answers are forthcoming for them. Other than here, the light workers. These people, keep in mind, these people, most of them on the 3D Earth are not awake. Okay, so this is what they are going through. This is what they are seeing. It is troubled fate right now. Until they open their eyes and realize, and again, that's where, this is leading, is that, they know that they did everything. They followed all the communication. They did everything they were supposed to, but this is how it's turning out. It's, we can't actually go on an airplane the way that we were told we could. Because, after we followed the rules. There's so much more that is happening. And it's still, about the air. And, you can take a look at this here and look at it as the person who, say, digs the graves at the cemetery rather than just like a construction worker. Things are pretty dire for those in the 3D Earth right now, which is why, if we can, we need to bring as much light as possible. Yes, it's going to make them sad because they're not going to understand why other people knew and they did not. It is hard to be that asleep and then suddenly come awake and realize that, somebody has tried to destroy you and everything you love and all those you love, and not really understand how to handle it. We've all been there at some point. Though some of us, we're never duped in that way because we've been awake a long time, kind of watching it happen, but it's very difficult to do a whole lot when there's so few who are that awake. So yes, there are still a lot of people in this situation. And compassion is very important. However, you cannot get lost in the compassion and miss out doing for those who are even further along in the awake. We need to keep going. We need to continue waking as many as possible. So once you do this, even though you see that they may be suffering from what they have discovered, they need to work their own way through. You've done your part. Move on. If you need to be there every once in a while, terrific. But I think that there's probably light workers in different areas, light workers with different specialities. Maybe we should say that, different specialities. And so when you as a light worker are the one who brings the truth to these people, and you suddenly realize that they have become awake because suddenly there is a lot of emotion and they have a lot to say about things that have been happening and opposite of what you had been hearing. It is time for you to go to the next person, and I feel that another light worker comes along that is destined to work with those who have just come awake, and a light worker who perhaps works with those who are a little further along in the awake process, but not quite where they are, that kind of thing. So I think everybody's got their part to play. Last here is one of the We Folk Toracles cards, and we can see on here the image of a person with what looks like sunglasses or patches over the eyes. We have a crown-like, or what do you want to say, bandana over the third eye area. And it reminds me of a crown because of this here. We have a staff and someone with long hair. So what this kind of reminds me of, this particular photographed fairy, is maybe a sentry of sorts, someone who protects or stands guard. We'll say that, stands guard over something. And of course, we can't really tell in this card what he would stand guard over, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. And the staff is a weapon, obviously, and not so sure about the eyes. Perhaps he doesn't necessarily have to see to know who he is supposed to protect and who he's not. Maybe that's just a sense, an intuition. Maybe he knows, or maybe there's something in the staff that lets him know that this person is okay and this person is not. So let's see what this fairy has to share for a message for the tail end of this reading. So here we have the barrister, and he's considered the royal guard. That's his subject matter. The royal guard depicts the conscious mind. Its job is to protect you and to make certain that you follow all rules and regulations that society imposes upon you. Isn't that interesting? The royal guard has no patience for individual thought. It guards the entrance to your subconscious mind with a vengeance, as that is the vault that holds all that is possible. To enter, the royal guard must be diverted. Meditation, hypnosis, and writing, any of these will require the royal guard to step aside, giving you access to all the amazing secrets of your existence. So what the fairies are sharing here with this card is that we are very, very conditioned. And our conscious mind does what it's told. It follows the rules and the regulations. It does exactly what it's told, because that is how it believes we get along in society. And also, that's its job. It's meant to protect us. Okay? Our subconscious mind, on the other hand, has all the information from our past lives and every experience that we have had in this life, every minute, every second of it. But the conscious mind does not want to let you into the subconscious, because then you might change. You might not believe what the conscious mind knows you should believe, okay? So with Leah here and the magic, the white magic of humanity that she is depicting here, she is the subconscious mind. And the fairies are sharing how to help someone who is locked into this, how to help them get past that conscious mind to get into that subconscious so that they can realize some truth. And yeah, they might be a little bit afraid, to do that. But that truth is important for waking humanity. So these are meditations. It's kind of a back door into that subconscious. If you keep the conscious mind busy, for instance, writing keeps the conscious mind busy because it is focused on how to form the letters. Then you can go into the back door of the subconscious mind with whatever idea that you have, and the subconscious mind, the door has opened. And as long as you continue writing, the conscious mind cannot get in the way of what you're trying to put into the subconscious. So if you're writing a sentence like, I know what the truth is, the conscious mind cannot necessarily read that sentence and make any sense of it whatsoever because you're writing it. The subconscious mind, however, can. So it gets the message in the back door while the conscious mind is busy. And that's pretty much what it's telling. If you have some really tough characters here that are still believing everything, perhaps you can come up with a way to get into the back door of their subconscious to help them awaken. And sometimes that is the astral travel, if you're capable to get into their dreams. Will yourself into their dreams and, put that little inkling of doubt into their minds as to what is really going on in the world to help them awaken. If you're not versed in astral travel, perhaps you can come up with something more 3D-like. I have no ideas on that. However, I'm sharing what the fairies are sharing, and someone out there, a light worker out there, may come up with something amazing due to this reading. We hope that's why the fairies are bringing something forward. So there we have the answer to, what light workers can expect this week on the spiritual realm and obviously the 3D realm. And this is what we are seeing people go through. It is not necessarily what we as light workers are going through. But we have to recognize what those who are not awake may be seeing, may be feeling, and that's what the fairies are sharing here. So that is it for this reading for this week. As always, take what works for you and disregard what doesn't. We'll see you next week. Take care.